Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third step-by-step LinkedIn how-to video installment on how to get you up and running on LinkedIn. So today I'm going to be focusing on getting you ready to search and engage on LinkedIn, because before you actually start networking on LinkedIn, you really have to be able to find people that can help you. So before I start talking about that, I'm going to just go over first, second, and third level connections on LinkedIn. So if you take a look at Veronica's profile here, you'll see that she has one connection, and that would be me. So I am her first level connection. Any of my connections are her second level connections, and so on, right? You see how that goes? All righty, just give you a bit of explanation before we start so as not to confuse you. So we might as well just jump in and start looking for people right now. And the way that you do that is you click on the search bar and then you press enter. And then LinkedIn is going to start looking for people that they think that you would be valuable to connect with based on what you have put into your LinkedIn profile. We're just going to actually head over to people right now, because I'm going to show you how big LinkedIn actually is. So when you just put in people by itself, it is suggesting 737,000 or million people, which is a lot of people for you to try and connect with. You'd never be able to do it. Now, I'm sorry, LinkedIn is running a little slow here today. So I'm going to actually going to refresh it, the page. And there we go. Alrighty. So now we're getting more of our filters. So in order for us to narrow down our search, then we're going to start applying some filters. So let's say we want to look for people in British Columbia, and then we click on the results. And as you can see, then we've actually narrowed it down, but there's still way too many people to try and figure out how to connect with. So we're going to continue, right? So let's say we're looking for people who work at, let's say, the University of Victoria. And let's take a look. And so it's not just, sorry, not working, but working or affiliated with UVic. And so now we've actually come down to like 4,000 results. So we're starting to get down closer and closer. Maybe we want to just know only people who are second level connections, then show results. And then, so that will be looking for my connections who also meet all this other criteria. And there you go. Now we're down to 6 people. And so you can see that the more you refine, the more you refine, the more refine, the more targeted your search becomes. Okay. Now there is another way to do this as well. So I'm just going to reset back to 0. And I'm going to click on this button called All Filters. And here you can actually start to go through the process again. We can look for second level connections of, well, you've only got one. So Lynn West. You could have actually put other people in there too. It's just that it would have taken kind of a bent way around to try and do the search for you, but it would have eventually worked. All right. And because I want to have some results, I'm not going to actually fill out a whole lot of these other things, but we could, as you can see, you could narrow it down. Let's say you've got a company that you would like to work for. Well, let's just add one. Let's put Air Canada in there, because I know I have people that I know at Air Canada. You could put in past companies, schools that people went to, specific industries, languages, and so on. You see that it's just, there's a lot of filters that you can apply. But what I'm going to be working on right now is something that's called Boolean search operators. And basically what that is, it is using certain words to help you narrow your search. So in this case, it's going to be the words and, the words or the words not. All right. So here's an example of what I mean. If you were looking for the president and CEO, and you could just plop in the results. And what this is saying is that Lynn does not have any connections who are CEOs and presidents of Air Canada. But we are going to just hit the all filters button again. But perhaps she knows somebody who's the president or the CEO. And there you go. Okay, so and or. Now, another filter that you could apply as well is somebody who is the president, but not the CEO. All right, the names, both of them come up. One of them actually is retired, as you can see, but he does have president in his title, and that's why it came up. And if you wanted to just take this one more further and just kind of do the reverse on here, CEO, not president, we're going to get no results on here, right? So it's huge, right? And what I suggest that you do is just run with this, start practicing. The combinations are endless, and it actually is kind of fun. All right. And once you start getting yourself a really robust list, that's when you're going to want to start reaching out and trying to engage with people that you have on your list. Alrighty, so when you actually start engaging with people, the more you engage, the higher you rank on searches. And if you engage with certain people all the time, the more frequently they show up on your news feeds and so on. Now, it is really easy to kind of get sort of fatigued by engaging all the time. And so what I suggest that you do is start it like a cadence, like where you're working maybe 10 to 15 minutes in the morning and 10 to 15 minutes in the evening, you know, answering and commenting and sharing and that sort of thing. That will definitely keep you top of mind and also, again, satisfy LinkedIn's algorithms. There are a couple of ways. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. There's a couple of ways that you can actually start initiating the conversation yourself. Now, number one is through direct messaging, where you can actually send like a message, hello, to somebody that already, and then send it, and that's going to send that message directly to me. All right. That's one way to do it. Or you can actually start sharing on the broader picture with publicly with the rest of the world by starting a post. All right. And what do you want to talk about? And you've got a variety of things that you can talk about. Always make sure that when you're on LinkedIn that it should stay relevant to the type of work that you're looking for, and you try and keep it really business-like and professional. The other thing too is that with LinkedIn, the community hates like salesy kind of swarmy kind of people coming on, and it does take care of itself. So I would suggest that it's always about engaging, and so that you don't come on like gangbusters, that you always show your value and your friendship first before you actually start trying to engage with people. And when you actually start looking at your news feed, you'll see that things come up. If something catches your eye, and again, it's relevant and important, and you want to build a relationship with that person, then you come down here and you can like it or comment, share, or send it. Now, LinkedIn's emojis are a little bit different than what you see on Facebook and so on. They have like the like, they also have a celebrate or a support, love, insightful, and then this little curious guy here. Make sure if you click that you think something is insightful, or any of the other buttons, basically, that you put a comment below telling them what you found insightful about the post. I have this saying, and it's never just like and leave, always go away, leaving somebody with something that they're going to remember you by. Okay. And your own spin, your own thoughts, and thanking them for actually sharing the post. Okay, something that's really important that you do. Notice too that when people, let's take a look and see if we can find one here. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and I'm trying not to engage too much with Veronica Jones in the outside world, because she really actually is a fictitious person, and I don't think it's fair to the rest of the world to do that, engage with someone fictitious. But let's just say, great idea, just for the heck of it, okay? And then post it. What I want you to notice in doing that is that Veronica headshot shows up, and also her value proposition in her headline shows up. So this is why it's super important that you put that proposition right at the beginning of your headline, and also why you want to have your professional photo there, because it follows you everywhere that you engage on LinkedIn. I think I told you that before. Alrighty, so also you're going to want to start doing is adding content. And a lot of people again say, oh my gosh, how do I keep coming up with content? Because after a while, you think maybe the well goes a little bit dry. Well, if you can try and focus on something like where you're actually posting perhaps 3 times a week, you know, it could be just like a quote that you find. You could be curating somebody else's content. And actually, that's a really good way to actually share your thought leadership and also broaden your network. Now, I always say with your curating content that there's 2 rules. There's one is that you always put your own spin on it. And then the other thing too is you always thank and tag the writer. All right, so to give you an example, I actually found a post that I thought would be really a good one for Veronica to share. And so here's the link to the blog. Alrighty, and you can see that it's populating. And remember, I said that you always put your own spin on it. And I actually created, excuse me for just a second, I actually just created a nice thing for Veronica to say. And again, I actually also recommend that you write your responses or your posts or whatever on a separate Word document so that it's easier for you to make any of the corrections. Like I probably should have been a little bit better at doing this with all like my little mistakes, but on here, and then sending it off the corrected copy, so you don't have to think while you're in the news feed. And this is also you're probably saying, well, I use my phone all the time for engagement. I really strongly suggest that when you're setting up your LinkedIn profile, and if you're especially if you're putting in blogs and so on, that you do it on a desktop computer. It just, I think you'll find that it's a lot less frustrating all the way around if you do it that way. Okay. So what did we say here? Thank you, Construction Placements, for posting this. So at the little @ sign means that you're tagging somebody on LinkedIn. As a civil engineering graduate, I found this blog highly valuable. And as a teenager growing up in Uganda, I interned with a local engineering company with the goal of devising ways to get water to local villages without disturbing the natural habitat. It raised awareness, saved money, and ultimately created a blueprint for global water conservation. Contact me at ... to learn more. So again, here you go. She is offering something to this company that they're going to look at her and go, oh my gosh, she really knows what she's talking about. I'm interested in, and then that'll increase the likelihood that they will want to engage back with her. So always try and bring something valuable to the posts that you're making and the comments that you're making. So I'm not going to actually post this again just because she's a fictitious person, and I don't want anybody to get excited about her abilities. So some of the other things that you can do beyond curating content is you can ask people for help. Now that's actually kind of a neat thing to do. And I created a photo for her. And let me just find that. Just trying to think of what I called it here. There we go. All right. And if you just plunk that in there and asking people like, what do you want to talk about? Well, I would just put in here, what headshot should I use? And then just put that out to your network. And I bet you'll find if we did this, and I'm not going to, that all of a sudden she would be starting to get a ton of responses back on here because everybody has an opinion about that sort of thing. But we're not going to do that. Again, we're just going to discard that. So there's another way to actually create content. You could create a poll. That's another thing that LinkedIn does that I think is kind of neat. A lot of people are doing that these days. You just click on the create a poll, think of any kind of question that you want to add, and a couple of options, how long you want the poll to run for. And I'm finding tons of people are doing that these days, and it is actually kind of fun. Alrighty, so that'll just give you a couple of ideas about content. Of course, your own content, your own videos, articles that you've written are always, always, always the most credibility building things that you can actually do on LinkedIn. So anything that you can put on there that's original is going to net you a lot more credibility and responses and so on. Now, for growing your network, all right, I'm going to just say something, is that because I'm all about LinkedIn for the most part, I think you probably figured that out, but is not to just solely rely on LinkedIn. What I also suggest that you do is that you reach out to your network, not to your network, to your family, to your friends, to ex-bosses, to colleagues, to anybody that you know, and let them know that you're looking for work, and let them know what kind of work that you're looking for. People generally will try to help you if they can. It's also a great way to be able to secure informational interviews. And in the resources below, you'll see I've added a resource there on tips and ways to actually ask for an informational interview. Now, the thing about informational interviews is that they are a kind of low-key way for you to get your foot in the door, alrighty, without actually asking for a job. Basically, what you're doing is you're asking somebody for advice about their information and what they think about it is working in the industry. It's 9 times out of 10 it works, and it's a good way for you to kind of start doing that networking process, because I know a lot of people feel really nervous about reaching out. I have this saying that you never know who is going to help you until they do, and I really mean it. That's why when you're looking to engage and network with people, that you go beyond the social media. Social media is really great. Now, one of the things too, though, with LinkedIn, where I'm going to go back to LinkedIn now, is that you never want to send out a cold request. All right. And or you don't want to actually just automatically just go and connect with somebody without adding a message to them to say why it is that you want to connect with them. So there are a number of things that actually could even trigger you to be reaching out to somebody. Perhaps somebody's looked at your profile and you'd like to connect with them. So you can send them a message back with a connection request saying, hello, I saw that you looked at my profile, and after looking at yours, I think that we could be of real value to each other. Would you like to connect? That would be a really nice way to do it. But there's a lot of other scenarios, and in the resources below, I have also left you with a number of trigger events and a number of possible scenario scripts that you can use for reaching out to people. There's other ways that you can do it. If you kind of click on my network It also gives you some ideas on how and who to connect with. Groups is a really good one if you belong, let's say, for a civil engineer. Um, um, let's take a look and see if it's going to let us do this. Click the, there you go. Well, it's, there's lots in here. I probably should have used more filters in trying to drill down to find more about civil engineering, but that is one way that that you can actually start engaging with people if you can find groups in your like field that you're looking for. Also, you could look to see what's trending in hashtags and start following hashtags, and that's another way to actually start seeing posts that are coming up and start commenting and engaging there. It also suggests people that you may like to connect with, and this is something that LinkedIn does quite well as well. If you are going to be actually making a connection request with somebody, let's say you'd like to connect with Amanda. Alrighty. What you don't want to do is just click on the connect button. You would pull up her profile, and then when you are sending a connection message, if you're sending it from your desktop, all you have to do is press the connect. If you're sending it from your phone, you actually have to go into the more so that you create a message that goes along with it. But here you go. That would be your connection. That would be your connection request, but it always gives you the option to add a personal note. And that's where you would put in here, I saw your profile, loved it. Are you interested in connecting? But we're not going to do that for Amanda right now. I have an idea, which might be kind of fun for everybody too, is if you started connecting with Virginia, that would be AKA me, over the next little while, just for fun, to give yourself some practice on how to connect and how to post and so on in a sort of a safe way, then that would be kind of fun. And then you could actually even engage with one another. Make sure that you keep it light and you keep it fun if you're doing that. And also know that I would prefer that you don't connect with the outside world, that you don't actually bring other connections into Virginia's world, because like I said, she is going to be going away once the course finishes up. Yeah, I think that would be kind of fun. Anyway, that's about it right now. I hope that you all have like I said, a lot of fun with this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'll be in the Collaborate room again on Wednesday afternoons at 1 p.m. PST, so we can talk about that further. And so everybody, again, I hope you have a great day, have fun with this, and we will be talking soon. Thank you. Bye-bye now.